Hi guys, this is Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. So today I have actually a exciting video for you, and I really did not think I was going to pick up this palette. Actually, a subscriber asked me if I was going to pick up this palette and I told them no. And I am talking about the Jaclyn Hill palette, the volume 2. So this palette has actually been out for a couple of weeks now, and I was walking into the Morphe store and I wanted to try out the new bronzers, and they had the palette here. And this is what it looks like. And I started just swatching and just putting my little fingers in the palette, and I was just like, It's like, oh, that's pretty. So I decided to purchase the palette. And actually, I had a friend contact me. It was like, girl, let me tell you, the Jaclyn Hill palette is good. Look at it. And I said, actually, I just purchased it. So I have one palette, 3 looks today for you on this particular palette right here. Now, let's get into a few palette details. So, you know, this is installment 2 of the Jaclyn Hill palettes. We had the Vault. We're not going to talk about that. And we had the beloved Jaclyn Hill palette number 1. Now, I do not have the Jaclyn Hill palette number 1 because I decided I just wasn't going to purchase it at this time because I had been spending too much money when it came out. And I was like, I just don't need it. So I stopped myself from purchasing it. So I decided to just kind of pick this up on a fluke. It retails for $39.99. And I picked this up from the Morphe store. Now, this palette is available at Ulta, the Morphe online, Morphe store if you have one near you. And then, of course, because it's Morphe, you're going to be able to use some type of coupons or discounts at the Ulta Beauty with this particular palette. Now, this palette is very smooth. It has like a glossed over cardboard packaging, and it's very sleek. I'm really digging how Morphe is doing their packaging as of lately. It's very sleek. They're streamlining their brand, and I really appreciate that. I was kind of tired of the plastic packaging, even though Jaclyn Hill never really had that. She had the white palette. Now, it has the glossy material, so I think you can wipe it down. So far, I do not see a lot of fingerprints. And then once you open it up, the background is silver and you do not have a mirror. And she has a message to all of her subscribers at the top right here. The names are printed right here on underneath each of the shadow, and you have 35 shadows in here. And ironically, only 10 of the shadows in the palette are actually, did I just stick my finger? I just stick my finger in the palette. What is going on as of lately? You don't know this? That I like, well, maybe it's not as of lately. I always stick my fingers in my palettes. Okay, so good thing I took a picture of it. I mean, literally just dug in it. Okay, well, the show must go on. So, like I was saying, there are only 10 shimmers in this particular palette. So this is basically a matte focus palette, and I think this palette is actually pretty much on trend because a lot of people, we look at it and you're like, oh, it's warm tones, but neons, these are some really bright colors, and neons are in at the moment. So on the back of the packaging, and this is where the shadow fell, right here on my packaging. Oh man, okay. So on the front of the packaging of the unicard, it actually looks the same. On the back, you have a picture of Jaclyn with a look inspired from the palette. Then you have her message to all of her subscribers about how crazy the past few years have been. And she's had so many highs and lows, amazing memories, tons of drama through it, all of it. My subscribers have always had my back. Thank you for loving and supporting me no matter what. This palette is embracing the past, owning the present, and dominating the future. Together, I hope these shades make you feel strong, powerful, and loved the way you make me feel every day. EXO Jaclyn Hill. Then we get to the bottom of the palette, and it's talking about this is an eyeshadow palette and a pressed pigment palette. So that is something to be aware of when you're purchasing this palette if you do not like pressed pigments, because 16 out of the shadows in this palette are deemed not eye safe because they are pressed pigments. I have to take that with a grain of salt. You can put the pressed pigments on your eye, but if you're subject to staining or anything like that, you have been warned beforehand. The other half of the palette are actually eyeshadows, and if you look at the top line, it explains which particular eyeshadows are eyeshadows or the pressed pigments. Inside the palette, you have 56.2 grams of product, or 1.98 ounces. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to show you guys some swatches. It's a lot of shades, so I'm just going to go ahead and swatch it out. I'm not going to live swatch it, and we're going to jump into the 3 looks, and we're going to wrap up with some final thoughts. And then actually in between the two looks and the final look, I will show you what my eyelids look like in terms of the staining, so you can just get an idea of how bad it stained on my particular eyelids. So let's go ahead and jump in with the looks. As a sidebar, I just want to add, because I just showed you how I put my nail in my palette, it is actually really easy to clean off. Some of the back of the palette got dirty because of the back of the unicarton is dirty, and I just simply took a makeup wipe and wiped off the back of the palette, and it is clean. So just to let you know, it does come clean easily.
Lie detector test against no lie.
Like this, I believe you that you've never taken
Sanders, and one of the tensions in his campaign and in his career more broadly is that he's both inside and...
Let's go ahead and get started. My eyelids are primed using my Too Faced concealer in the shade Butterscotch, and then I'm going to go ahead and start with a Sephora Pro number 10 fluffy crease blending brush, and I think I'm going to go ahead and start with the shade Grateful. It's one of the more brownie transition shades. This is Grateful actually right here. These don't look the same on camera. This one is a little bit darker right here. That is Homebody, then Grateful. So let's go ahead and just jump into Grateful and see how this performs on the eye. Why is my left eye already starting to water? Girl, ain't nobody even touched you. Seriously? I'm telling you, this eye, I'm just gonna kind of pat that in. Start working this across the crease. I have no idea where this look is going. So we're just on a little journey together. So I'm just blending this across. It blends out pretty smooth. You do have to build it up to get kind of maximum pigmentation out of this shade right here. But I do like how it's kind of a orangey brown. I think if I use like a little bit lighter primer, it would pop just a little bit more. But you can build it up. So I don't mind building shadows up because I mean, a lot of them you do have to build up, except for very few brands. But it's not looking patchy or anything like that. It's actually looking pretty nice. Did I have a little bit of, I might have had a tiny bit of fallout. I'm just gonna go in one more time, but that's just me and what I wanna do. So now I think I'm gonna go ahead and continue on with the same brush. I just wiped it off, and I'm gonna jump into this little pinky red shade called Heart On. You know, I do love red tones right here, but you do have to kind of sometimes be careful how you use them so you don't look sick. And this is what it looks like on the brush. So a decent amount picked up. It looks pretty pigmented. And I'm going to concentrate this on this side of the eye. I'm not going to take this in the crease. I'm just going to kind of blend it in. So of course it would be definitely way more pigmented if I used a tight flat shader brush, and I might go in with one, but I just kind of want to blow the color out first. And I'm just paying special attention to right here because, you know, I have extra skin, little hooded lid situation. And I'm not taking this too far in, but I just brought it in just a little bit right here. And I'm just kind of meshing it with that other shade. So that picks up actually really nicely. Now I am going to switch brushes. This is an eyeshadow shader brush by Sephora. It's one of the magnetic brushes. I'm going to jump into that same shade, Heart On, and I'm just going to pack a little bit more just for a little bit more intensity. But I really like that blown out. Wiping that brush off one more time. I'm going back into that first shade we used, Grateful, right here. Now you do get a little kick up in the palette, so I'm glad that the background of the actual palette is silver and not white. And I'm just going to take this up here. Just add a little bit. Now going in with this crease brush, this is one of the Sephora Pro magnet brushes. Also, I'm going to take the next shade over called Living My Best, and it's a more red shade. It's a matte also. And I'm actually pretty surprised. There's not a lot of Not a lot. This one has a lot of kick up. Let's see if I can show you. And I dipped in pretty softly so you can see all the kick up right there. This palette actually doesn't have a lot of shimmers, which is actually kind of surprising and good in the same time if you don't want too many red shimmers, so, or if you're really into colorful mattes. Okay, so I'm liking how that looks. We got a little hint of red. It gave us a little bit more definition on the outer V area. Now taking my little Tarte brush, this is one of my favorite brushes for shimmers. I am going to go in with the shade called Bougie. This is Bougie right here. And I'm just going to pick that up and apply that on the inner part of the lid, or, you know, this section right here that we have to cover. It was like, I think that's what I'm trying to say. And this one, I chose this one because it has all of these shimmers right here kind of look alike. This is applying very nicely. It does have a little bit of fallout, so be careful. But this one has a little bit more red tinge to it. And I'm just kind of patting that on. I'm not sweeping across, I'm just patting to kind of get maximum pigmentation, not to mention to prevent some of the fallout. And I'll kind of rezhuzh that little section up in a moment. I'm just kind of feathering out. Now, I am going to wet it. I'm going to put a little bit right here where I'm going to wet it because I don't want to overpower the matte. So kind of like the blend that we have going on here. It's a little soft and subtle, even though this part is kind of really bold. So I picked up the shade Bougie. I'm going to go ahead and give it a spritz with this Maybelline Fix Plus. And just so you know, like, the Maybelline Fix Plus is actually not that bad. It was pretty affordable. When I say not that bad, it's actually pretty good. That's a poor choice of words. I tried it because doing makeup for my old dance school where I used to dance, and they were having a recital, and I always come back and help the girls and do their makeup. And I wanted a few things, like, you know, that were inexpensive, because for that particular day I could just make it work, and we're really just doing gold and black cut creases. And I wanted to have some Fix Plus to kind of wet my brushes, but I didn't want to take my own, and I bought that because it was inexpensive. And I was like, I always use my Urban Decay, but I was like, you know what? And I also kind of took things because I was going to be kind of transitioning in and out the room, that if it came up missing, I wasn't going to be hurt about it because I was walking in and out the room. And I'm just going right back in with that Sephora Pro number 10 brush, picking up that shade Heart On. That's the first bright shade we use. And I'm just going to make sure it fuses into there. So yeah, that's the story about how I tried it. But if you're looking for an inexpensive setting mist, I do recommend it. I think it was about $10 or $11. So I think it's actually a little bit cheaper than the Morphe setting spray. And by the way, I did try the little coconut one and the new mist. I'm just going back in. So for a Pro number 10, I wiped off the brush, just fusing our blending. I did try that coconut mist. It smelled really good and it felt really good on the face, but I had just bought the Anastasia one, so, you know, you can't buy everything. So this eye is complete. I'm liking how it looks, and we're going to do some lower lash line work. I don't know exactly what yet, but we're going to move on to this side. Okay, so I just picked up my Anastasia primer. I had that concealer down, which is the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Sculpting Concealer in the shade Butterscotch. And I'm going to take the Anastasia primer. I'm actually going to mix it because the Anastasia primer is really white. And I want to use some of the brighter orangey colors, but if you know me, you know I do not like how stark some of these primers can look underneath your skin, especially when the eyeshadow formula is a little bit thinner in consistency. And so I was like, let me just mix it in with a little concealer, and now we kind of just change the whole shade. But it's going to give us a little bit more pop potential. I'm just going in with a Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Blending Brush to blend this out. This brush is everything to blend out your what's name. So I started using this brush way before I started YouTube, and the Fancy Face put me onto this brush. And ever since, and I literally have like 3 of them because they can get pretty dirty pretty quickly with, you know, cream products. So I always use that to blend out my concealer. So now you see it's a little bit lighter, but it's not so stark against my complexion. Going in with a fresh Sephora Pro 10 number brush also. Again, I'm going to step in with the shade. It's called Love Handles. I don't know which she got going on with these names. It is some, these names are, they're kind of all over the place. Like, I don't know. I know I did not watch her release video. I can't say that. I'm just gonna blend this back and forth in the crease. I watched the release for her first video, and I know like a lot of the names had just so much significance. So I'm not sure what the significance behind these particular names, but I'm like, they're just all over the place. I love handles. Okay. I have a little bit of them, but I'm trying to get rid of them. I'm working on it. All right, so I just blend that out across the crease. That picked up pretty nicely, especially I think since I added that Anastasia primer. Now, I am going to, I wiped off that brush and my little makeup towel. I'm going to jump in with the next shade down below. I'm going to go in with Feeling Myself. That up, it has, looks like it has good pigmentation. Oh, okay. That's not bad. Now, of course, I'm using a fluffy brush, so product is going to disperse. But yeah, it does pick up pretty nice. Not to mention, yeah, that primer probably really did help, but yeah, it picks up pretty nicely. There we go. And it blends out really smooth. Sometimes neon colors like this can be really patchy. And I'm just working that up in my crease, kind of blending it up, feathering it softly into that first shade, which is called Love Handles, that don't nobody want. Come on, Jaclyn. Why you naming stuff like that? Love Handles. Okay, and that builds up actually really nicely. Jumping in with an E45 small taper blending brush. This is by Sigma. I'm going to go over to the next shade called Homebody. So these could definitely, you can definitely use these as quads. And I'm just going to pat this down a little bit further in my crease. Well, this is a nice color actually. Okay, because when you look at them, it is brown, but it's very sienna in color. So you have to kind of look, you see the other orange popping out. Because when you look at it on camera, it just kind of looks like everything is the same orange. But I do like this color a lot. And so far, I would say the mattes are layering really nice against each other. Now I think I want to mix it up as far as color scheme. I'm going to keep that same brush. I wiped it off. I'm going to go in with the shade called Next, which right here, and it's a pretty kind of berry tone, but I think it will complement the oranges really. And I'm just going to start working this on the outer. It's kind of brick ready. Sorry, y'all. I'm about to do my disappearing act. I think I've been very good in this video. I don't know. Let me know. Or I'll find out in editing. With my small little Tarte shader brush, I'm going to jump in with the shade called Flawed and Odd, which is kind of like a burnt orange, sunset-y shimmer shade. And I'm going to just start patting that right there. I'm not taking it all the way over. I'm just going to kind of leave it here, and then I will blend that color out in just a moment. Oh, I just wiped that brush off. I'm going to go in with this a little bit more chunkier shimmer shade, and it's called Talia. right here. Actually, do I want to change? Let me see. Yeah, because this one looks a little chunky. I'm going to go in with the Sephora glitter applicator, which is really good. Yeah, this one could, yeah, it's a very sticky formulation. And I'm just going to pat this over that first shade, which was called Flawed and Odd. Yeah, this so much better. That or your finger for this particular color. Going back in with the Sigma E45, picking up the shade Next. Again, right here. And I'm just going to tap that over so it just kind of blends into there. I'm gonna go ahead and do some liner, lashes, face makeup, you know the drill, and I'll be back to present the final looks, and we'll do some lower lash line work. With a Sonia Pro flat definer brush, I'm gonna pick up the shade Next that we had right here, and I'm gonna apply it underneath my waterline. Hopefully, if my eye cooperates. And then I'm just gonna deepen it a little bit because that shade is a little bright and I don't want it to look like, you know, I'm sick or anything like that. I'm gonna go in with the shade right below it called Crazy, which is a little bit deeper in nature, and I'm just gonna run that underneath the lash line too. And that brush off, I'm gonna jump in, same brush, the shade right here, which was the Flawed and Odd. And we're just gonna kind of meet it right there. Okay, and actually with this eye, I'm gonna, same brush, wipe it off. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of the shade Temptress. It's the black shade. And I'm gonna start that lash line. I'm just gonna kind of fuse it. Now I have enough black how I want it. And then I'm actually gonna go in with the shade called, I'm gonna go back in with Crazy that we just used on the other lash line. Oh, that adding that black just brought like a nice mysteriousness to that eye. It really just completed it for me. And I'm just gonna kind of mix these two shades together. All right, so these are the two looks, and I would say they came out really, really pretty. And this eye actually surprised me when I added that black down at the bottom. It just really just brought a mysteriousness to this look. So I'm really actually digging it. And the shadows were actually really easy to work with. I didn't have any problems. You do have a little bit of fallout with the two looks. And I want to say that second shade that I used before was really sticky and flaky. But other than that, so far so good. So I hope you guys really enjoyed these two looks. And so let's go ahead and jump into it, the third. Before we jump into the third look, I just want to go ahead and show you the amount of staining that I have on my eyelid. So I actually don't think it's that bad considering I did use some of the shades that were depressed pigments and not technically safe for eyelid use. Usually I don't have any problems staining. I'll have some when I take the makeup off initially, but basically when I wake up in the morning or after a few hours, the staining has gone away. So just want you to see what it looked like, if that's something that bothered you, prior to me repriming my eyelids and getting started with the third and final look. All right, my eyelids are primed using the Too Faced Born This Way Concealer shade Butterscotch. Then I went ahead and added in a little bit of my Anastasia eye base, just so that it's not so white, but just give the chance for the colors to pop a little bit more. Plus, I am not that keen on the Anastasia eye base. I really don't think that it makes my shadows last any longer. I've tried it a few times by myself off camera and I'm just like, I prefer my Urban Decay Primer Potion so much more. And white bases on my skin complexion, I don't like it. So I like to kind of make it neutral, just so it can get a little pop, but you know, still blend in with my complexion. Going in for a Pro number 10 brush, I have wiped it off in my little makeup towel. I am gonna go in basically purples and berries look, since we've done the oranges and some of the reds and played with some of the brown shades. I am going to go in with the shade Lowly Mama. I'm gonna take this shade right here. This is a hotter pink shade and this is a little bit more candy. You know, it has a little bit more blue to it. I'm gonna go ahead and pick that up. And I'm gonna start this in the crease. I'm gonna go back and forth windshield wiper motions. See how this shows up. So far so good. Not too bad. It's blending out smooth and you can build it up. And I'm just gonna kind of wing it out there. And I'm gonna just go in with a little bit more shadow right there. With a tapered Sephora Pro crease brush, this is number 19. It doesn't look so tapered anymore. I'm like, what happened here? I am going to go in with this shade called Therapy Sesh, which is right here. It's more of a lilac color. And I'm gonna blend that into the Lowly Mommy that we just placed down. Ooh, it's very cotton candy. I like how those two blend together. And I'm just in with the Sephora Pro number 10 again. I'm going to take this deep darker shade called Not My Journey right here, and we're going to apply this on the outer V. And this is a deeper purple. Ooh. And I'm just kind of blowing it out. And that has very nice pigmentation for a purple matte, especially. I would give it to her. A lot of these mattes have very good pigmentation. I have not had to struggle with any shadow. And I'm just kind of swirling it around to kind of blend it up in here. Now I'm going to go back in with that tapered brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit more of the shade Therapy Sesh right here. And just kind of, and with my Magnetic Pro Crease Brush by Sephora, I'm going to take the shades called Stay True. It's a little bit pinkier. And I'm going to start working that into this area of the eyelid. And I'm just kind of blending them together and kind of feathering it out. I know for like maximum, like I just want it to be blown out. And kind of like you can see where one color picks up but not the other. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I'm not using like a flat shader brush. Now I'm going to go ahead and wipe that brush off. I'm going to take a little bit of Dance Party, which is over here on this side. And this one does have microfine glitters in it. And I'm taking it and I'm just kind of fusing it there. And now just wiping that brush off. I want it to be a little bit brighter. So I'm going to go in with Tipsy Girl, which is right here. And pop that over it and kind of into the inner corner. Now I'm going to take my little Tarte brush and I'm going to go in with, let's get me an inner corner highlight here. Okay, I think let's try this shade. I'm in it. It's like a, looks like it's a dual chrome. Has that white sheen with that pink base. It's pretty, like I said, just predictable. So let's go in with, let's take Drama Queen, which is right here. And I'm like, this particular shade seems a little hard pressed. It's like, I'm just gonna go in with that Sephora glitter liner Yeah. This particular shade is very like hard pressed. And I'm going to go back in with that first brush and I'm going to just take a little bit more of Lowly Mommy and just sweep it across. Make sure we didn't lose any of that first shade. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do my lashes. Put some lashes on, touch up my face, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, this is the final look, so I hope you guys like it. I think it came out great and it's really, really pretty and I'm really digging it. And all the shadows were so easy to use, so easy to layer, especially mattes, because you know, mattes sometimes definitely have a problem of blending on top of each other, but I did not have a problem with that. I'm also very pleasantly surprised of how pigmented the shadows are. I did not have a problem blending any of the shadows. Everything was very smooth and just was able to build up very easily. So you could go in with like a little bit of color or you could just kind of take it to the max. Now, overall, I feel like this palette is actually really good. I'm quite shocked. I'm a little surprised. I hate to say it, but you know, Morphe can kind of be hit or miss. They have good quality shadows, but like it's really not my favorite shadow formula. Not to mention because Jaclyn Hill is involved, like even though she loves bright, vibrant looks and things of that nature, but we all know it's just been so much drama with all of her releases, and that just kind of makes me hesitant to purchase anything that has her name on it, because I did pick up 2 palettes from the Vault collection, even though I do not have the first Jaclyn Hill palette, and those particular, I'm not even just trying to jump into the hype of what happened with the Vault, but my 2 palettes were not good at all. I got Ring the Alarm and then Armed and Gorgeous with all the mustardy and greens in there, and it just was not good at all. They were very patchy. It was not good. But I'm here to report that these shadows are not that in the least bit, and they are very vibrant, and she did a good job with this palette. Now, I know everybody loves the first Jaclyn Hill palette. I do not have the first Jaclyn Hill palette. I just kind of talked myself out of buying it because at the time when it came out, I was like, girl, you don't need this. Back up, like, you know, just stopping myself from shopping on one of those things. But I was really heavily considering getting that palette. Now, I would say that this palette is really meant for somebody, of course, if you love color, but if you're really into colorful mattes, this is actually great. And even if you're like a little scared of color, I can definitely see this being a launching point. If you're a person who likes berry tones and pinks and purples, you're definitely going to get some use out of this. And you have a lot of transition shades in here to kind of help set off your looks. And then you have very neutral tone shimmers right here. All these shimmers pretty much look alike, but they have very different, unique undertones. I would say some of the shimmers are very tightly pressed. And if you're not a person who likes mattes and you prefer more shimmers, this palette probably isn't for you either, because there are actually only 10 shimmer shades in this palette of 35 shades. So that is like a pleasant surprise. And then at sometimes like, maybe some of the shimmers could have been a little bit different versus they're kind of all looking the same here. And then you have this particularly smooth kind of melody gold. This particular shimmer right here, it has a very sticky type of texture to it. So you're definitely going to need to use your finger with it. Now, I would say that good place to me when I use that, and it just could be because I used it underneath my waterline, that it didn't really show up as a shimmer. It was just no difference for me putting it as Not My Journey. But overall, I'm really impressed with the blendability of all the shadows. I did not have a problem with any of them. You're going to get some kick up in the pan. So like my palette's a little dirty down here where the shade Not My Journey is. But everything kind of went away pretty easily. I did have a little bit of fallout on the face, but nothing too bad. Now, when you look at the palette kind of right in here, you're like, oh, I have so many browns. Now, you know Jaclyn loves her browns. Morphe loves to do browns as well. But all of them, I can honestly say, have a lot of different undertones and kind of complement the little shadow quads that this palette presents in between. So like you have Homebody, that is very like bricky, orangey color, and so it's not so much brown, but in the pan it really appears to be brown. And you can kind of pair with this quad. Now you have Comfort Zone, which in Love Handles and Perfectionist, they kind of really are your true more browns, and especially thick skin. Now, Grateful, it has kind of like a neon undertone to it. It's not so much brown. And then I like how G Money is a little grungy, even though I did not get a chance to use that. I would say all the berry shades, all of these tones right here, they are unique. They are not the same at all. So you're going to be able to create a lot of gradient looks like how I did today. I started off with the brighter pinks. So you're going to get a lot of different tone variations. And every time you kind of probably go in with a few different shadows, even though they all kind of look like they're the same family, you're going to come out with a different look. I would say that some of the shimmers, like I said, it was just a little bit tightly packed for me. It was a little hard to pick up on a brush, especially like the shade right here, Drama Queen. I don't particularly like to use my fingers when doing my makeup. And I do like that there is a black in here. I think the black just kind of adds another little element to the palette, especially when I did the look, the first look right here. You know, it really just tied that look together. So overall, I think the palette is actually pretty thoughtful. I mean, it looks like a lot of stuff that we've seen before, but then at the same time, it's a little different. And I do appreciate it, especially with some of the neons. So the neons are right on trend right now, you know, and colorful palettes. And dare I say that if you wanted maybe a cheaper version of the Anastasia volume, what is it, 3, the orange one, I'll pull it out in a second. You know, you have a lot of those shades right in here. So you can probably go for this one versus paying like $65 for the other one, because this is $39. You get it from Ulta, you know you're going to be able to use some type of coupon or a discount with it. Now, I did pick this up from the Morphe store, but you know, I have sales all the time. So it's just something to kind of consider. So like I just mentioned, this is the ABH Norvina. This is volume 3. This retails for $65. So I think you can get quite a few comparisons. It's besides the greens, there are no greens in here, but as far as like if you were really interested in the oranges and magentas and some of those brown tones, I think you can really kind of find it in this Jaclyn Hill palette. And for me, in this palette, the greens are not like good anyway. So if you just wanted strictly oranges, and what's the name of, try to hold it up side by side, this is what you're getting. So you're getting some of the few tones in here. It doesn't look quite the same because you're getting the help of the orange background in this particular palette, but there are a lot of crossover shades in this particular Jaclyn Hill palette that are similar to this ABH palette. So just a little food for thought. So overall, I do like the palette. I mean, I do like all 3 looks that I came up with. So let me know which one was your favorite. I think my favorite, by the time I got finished, was number 1, and then this is the second favorite, and then the third look I did over here. So let me know down below which look you like the best, and just leave me a comment. Give this video a big thumbs up, and hit the notification bell so you know when I come out with another video, which will be very, very soon. And you know I would like you to subscribe to my channel, because you know I would like you to be in my little makeup family. And last but not least, you already know what time it is. We have to do our chair dance. What? Chair dance. Hey, yeah. Chair dance. Chair dance. Chair dance. Chair dance. Chair dance. All right, y'all. Bye.